You're listening to the Clean Comedy Podcast with JamesDCreviston and LukeLacoy.
Hey everybody, it's James. Welcome to the Clean Comedy Podcast. I'm here today with my co-host, Mr. LukeLacoy.
Clean Comedy Podcast. I like how you said it. You got that pop in it today. That was good.
Did I really? Oh,
good
I
job,
didn't.
James.
Oh, all right. Thank you. Well, you know why I'm excited about today? I'm excited because when 2020 happened, everybody jumped to going to Zoom, right? And to watching like Zoom comedy. But like these two guys were like ahead of the curve. And they came up, they're like, you know what? We're not going to do Zoom. Forget Zoom. They're not getting our money. We're going to build it our way. Right. And you know, I am a huge like person that's like all about like taking it away from the big powers and building like your own stuff. Like I'm all about decentralized internet, Bitcoin, all that stuff. Cause I don't want to pay. I don't want to give Google my money. Unfortunately, I have to give Zoom my money right now. Right. It sucks, but I'm doing it. So please welcome Jonathan and Ruben and their app, aLiveShow, which is a stand-up open mic done through an app. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks.
Dude, I'm so excited. Like, I love, okay, so like, you guys are probably familiar with like, Parler taking on Twitter or like Gab or whatever like that. And just all those kind of like secondary social media is coming up now, and then like the big GameStop thing taking down, Wall Street and all that stuff. So I'm all about that kind of stuff. That's who I am. Like I'm like the guy that like wants to take down the big guys. So I feel like you guys are those guys too. I don't know. Am I wrong?
Well, I don't know. Like we definitely always want to give it back to the audience. I've done stand-up comedy for a long time, and I was in New York City for a while, and I had a lot of fun. I had met so many great people. We did so much fun stuff, and it was just, but you had to be a producer. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't just be a comedian. You can't just go there and tell jokes. You had to be a producer. And in the same breath, you're like, what am I producing? Check out my 9-comic show. It's way better than this 9-comic show on the other side of town. And definitely better than that 9-comic show on the other side of town. Like it's, and I'm not saying that we all don't have our things. I find that all of us have such cool jokes, and even, there's only so many topics you can talk about every day. So when you do a lot of mics, you're going to have some overlaps, but overall it just felt like look at the improv shows. You know what I mean? Like improv shows are fun and snap, and you involve the audience. And ever since then, I've been trying to find ways with my friend Ruben, my best friend Ruben, to make things that give a little more power to the audience so that they can feel like they're part of the show without necessarily interrupting the show like they traditionally do.
So how long did it take you to build this app and get it out there? And who's the programmer? Do both of you program, or?
We both program, but Ruben is definitely the programmer on this one. In our past app, this is actually our second app, believe it or not.
Oh, nice.
But,
okay.
But we'll talk about that in a second. Ruben, how long? Go ahead.
We did a lot of testing. And it was a lot of fun testing, but I think we came up with the idea about a year ago, but we actually wanted to expand on our current app, or our app that failed, and we kind of wanted to add a layer of live stream of like you can do it from home. And then COVID happened, and it was kind of like, hey, can we use this idea but really expand it to just open mic, and how can we bring this to everybody and have comedians have a good time and be able to push their stuff out. And we're
right, even
very
when
happy
down,
that we could.
Yeah.
So it took about 3 months to actually have like a first iOS version out, and then
nice.
we got a lot of feedback from Android users wanting to try it as well. But at first we didn't have a good way of providing feedback to the comedian, so it felt like a black hole. Like the comedian was just performing, and you could but in the mind of the audience, it's not like, oh, that's funny, let me tap this button. Like you already lost 5 seconds. And so when we started using audio for the audience, that changed the whole game. Now we heard somebody say, hey, how's everybody doing? And immediately that just started giving that feedback loop. And I think that's the uniqueness of our platform.
Yeah.
Now I'm gonna nerd out with you there for a second. What did you write? So you wrote the iOS first. Does that mean you wrote it in Swift or did you write it in something else?
Ooh, yeah. Yes, we did in Swift.
Nice.
I'm a nerd. I like programming. I know like Python. I know some HTML, CSS, a little Java, but yeah, I don't know Swift. So
Well,
yeah.
I got it even better for you.
Okay, good.
I decided to experiment with this, and Swift you can also write for the backend.
Mhm.
And we actually are using a Swift backend, which is very stupid to do because we can't get any help on that, but it's working. So
But
as you can tell,
okay.
I'm the nerd. He's the funny guy. So
That's okay. I love the nerd part. So when you ported it over to Android, I'm sorry everybody who's listening to this who's not a nerd. When you ported it over to Android, did you have to change the format? So did you have to go write it in something else, like rewrite it from the base up?
Yeah.
But you have to write it in.
Yeah, but the fun part is, and the fun part is it's the app just does what the server says, because at the end of the day, we don't have a host. The host is the app is it's like a game. It moves the pieces and says, okay, now you're up, and the app just says, okay, I got to show this person now, and I need to put that person there. And so it was not that much difference. And we have like the gaming engine is centralized. So that's
what's the language for Android that you wrote it in? Is that Java?
Kotlin.
Kotlin. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Wow, man, you really are good at this stuff. That's not. Yeah. No, I'm not going to take a stab at that at all. You go.
And he learned it. He learned it for this.
I was going to say you would have had to learn it because I'm pretty sure that it's still like a young programming language. It's not very very old.
Yeah.
But
Swift's still pretty young too, comparatively to other stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's not hosted on anything. So you don't host it. So once you download the app is everything. Everything's built inside there.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing actually. Like, so just to give you, I don't know, did you get a chance to check it out?
Yeah. I've looked at it. I've been on there a couple times. Yeah.
So when you go to the show, like everyone can be a performer. You know, and everyone can be in the audience if you prefer, I guess. And hey, we love audience members, so we need you. But it's made for comedians, and it's made for you to be able to do a set on the fly or prepare, just where you don't have to worry about getting there. You don't have to pay the money to get there, and you don't have to have some guy tell you no when you get there. You know what I mean? You just perform. And with the real audience feedback, I mean, again, like I said, I'm glad that we can work with comedians because I love them and they're my people.
Agreed.
But I don't want to replace. It's not like I'm trying to replace in-person comedy or something. None of us. That's never been our goal. It's just another tool. It's just another way to network, to find out if your jokes are good. And we even do like cool points, so you can kind of measure yourself versus other comedians on a little more of a what I consider to be the value points of a comedian. So
just because you just have the most, that's why you just the system.
Well,
these cool points are like
that means the scoring works. Made in my image.
So big question for you. What's the next step of this app? Like, is there going to be a platform to basically port it so what you're doing on the app then gets sent to, a site that people can just watch from there as opposed to having to have the app? Is that something that's going to happen? Or do you have like a future idea? I don't know. I'm just spitballing ideas here, by the way.
Sure.
So,
well, we've definitely talked about that. And, I feel like I want it to really be an app because it's just so much more convenient. You know, like whenever someone says to me, oh, I wish there was a website I could watch it on, I say that you're probably just being lazy because you got a phone in your pocket. I mean, it's right there. And reality is a lot of the time, the only excuse for people that I could say could really use a phone, a laptop for this would be comedians, because then you could get better equipment and you could hook up, you can still do that with a phone, but it's just not, you might not be set up for that. You're set up right now to have a nice microphone and a nice headphone on a computer. Yeah. So I could get that argument. But the major thing we're going after is making sure that it's convenient, not that it's set up so that it looks like you're at Comedy Cellar. You know what I mean? Like, It's so much more important that we get people to just experience it, because once you do it once, you realize that it's a supportive group. It's better than most open mics you go to in a lot of senses, where people are laughing and people aren't laughing, and you get exactly the feedback that you deserve.
Now, what
Just
about
like a mic.
getting an app for like Apple TV, Roku, something like that? Is that like another thing? Because then that's still a similar situation where it's an app as opposed to a
Sure.
website.
I mean, I guess we haven't really talked about that very much. Right now, our big push is towards more shareability,
Yeah.
because I'm a comedian, right? And I know that when I do a show, I promote, right?
Yeah.
Like I want everyone to know I do a show. So what we want to do is make sure that if we got a bunch of comedians who really want to promote shows, we don't put any obstacles in their way. We
Yeah.
want quick links. We want you to be able to do a show. Say we archive all your videos for you, so you
That's
can
awesome.
download them and share them on YouTube. You can download them and put them on Instagram. You can do whatever you want with them, and you can delete them. You know what I mean? Like, you can just get rid
Sometimes
of
we
them.
all want to. When we after we do that open mic, like, I
Exactly.
just want to delete that moment that I was
Right. And how many
We-
times have you done a sweet set and walked away from it without a video and thought to
so
yourself,
many times.
dang, I wish I would have got that, because there was so much nice stuff in there, and now I got to remember it. You got to rewrite it. It's never the same. That moment's gone, so that's not even a possibility with this.
So what can I ask what the first app was that you guys claimed failed? Now, by the way, I don't consider if you write an app, it's not a failure. Okay. If you make something, it's not a failure at all.
Why,
So I'm going to
thank you.
argue with you there. But what was the first app that you guys worked on together?
Oh, can I take this, Ruben? I really love talking
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, you
So-
should.
Crowdsourced. It was called Crowdsourced Comedy. Okay.
Oh, that sounds cool.
And it is cool. It's our pride and joy. We're bringing it back one day. Just get ready for it, because it's
All
going
right.
to change the world. I pitched it to Comedy Central. I was trying to get this into a show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What it was, we made this app that had the same concept of bringing the audience in, but we made it much more direct. So instead of what you would do is you would use the app, download Crowdsourced, and you'd RSVP to a show that you were going to go to. You'd see a list of all the Crowdsourced shows and where they were, right? So you'd click on the show and say, I'm going. And once you RSVP to that show, you were allowed to submit photos to that show from your phone. So you could take a picture and submit it. You could find some funny meme and submit it. You could do whatever you want. And then when you go to the show, instead of the comedians, we'd get 3 comedians to go up on stage. And instead of them doing their own material, we would have 2 of the pictures from the audience submission pop up on a projector behind them. And then it'd pop up on all the apps at the same time. And then they'd all have 20 seconds to vote which picture they wanted this guy to roast.
Oh, I love this.
That picture would go full screen, and then a timer would start, and this guy had to be funny about this. He had to joke about this. Sometimes it was roasts. Sometimes it was character work. We had so many crazy people. I had Nick Vatterott do it all the time. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's one of my favorite comedians. And we were having so much fun doing the show. So it was like a game show. You'd go up, and on the phone, you'd see the 3 comedians who were going to do the show. And while they were performing, you could vote which comedian you thought was your favorite, doing the best, right? And you could change it at any time. And then as you progress, that was like round 1 was, let's make fun of some pictures. You all had 5 minutes, and you all had to make fun of as many pictures as you could go through, right? And then round 2, there'd be a lightning round where we'd have all the comedians focus on one picture for 30 seconds. And then it just changed every minute and a half. So all of them had to like quick fire on this. And then at the end, it'd pick who was the winner and then give them the full screen and say, you're the winner. And then they'd get 5 minutes of stage time to do their own rehearsed material.
Dude, I love that. That is the coolest thing ever.
It's the coolest thing ever. It's the coolest thing ever. I'll say it to the day I die. It was I was proud of that. But here, think about me, right? Like, and it was great. I put that show on in New York for 2 years straight. It was me and my now wife. She was my girlfriend at the time. And she's running the tech in the booth. I'm on the stage moving the show and performing and hosting and booking and producing. And it was fun, but it was just a lot of work. And it was a hard concept to grasp from a flyer, So like we get 5 people. We need more than that to run the show,
Dang.
So We just
we got to make
couldn't get the
we got to
hook.
make a trailer for that. That's what that's the thing is. It needs a strong trailer,
Yeah.
but it could be just pummeled on social media.
Right.
Boom,
Our
boom,
best
boom.
show of it was in Washington. A guy called us from Washington. He's like, "Hey, I was looking at comedy shows online and trying to steal them so I could do them. And yours was the only one I couldn't do. Do you want to go in Washington?" And I was like, he's like, "We'll pay you." I'm like, "Hell yeah, I want to do a show in Washington. Like, let's go." And it was, oh man, it was the most, it was like packed, sold out house,
Wow.
150 people, kill every comedian, tore the house down, all doing crowdsourced.
That's
And
so awesome.
right, but the whole point of crowdsourced was to make you come to the club. The whole
Yeah.
point was to do a live stream, and we'd live stream it, but the whole point was for you to be able to participate. Even from your house you could participate, but it was pushing you into clubs. And
Yeah.
it kind of became a hard part of it, you know what I mean? Like, you want so many people there and you want to support the live stream, but you also don't, and the comedy clubs really don't want you to. They want people in those seats.
Yeah.
You know, they don't care about a live stream. They don't care about getting views and getting people to recognize your brand. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it was an uphill battle. And so we really tried to tweak some things with this one to get it to be a little more usable.
I like that. There was another show that I've done where they just give you like a prompt and then you have to like tell jokes about whatever the prompt is or whatever. I
Oh, it
forgot
was called Setlist. It was
yeah,
called
Setlist. There you go, Setlist.
called,
Yeah.
and we were told that was in the same time that show came out. Crowdsourced was going around New York City,
Nice.
and I thought it was the right timing to get it in, you know. But it was just timing is so much of it. You know what I mean? Like, when you're trying to do something new, so much of it is timing. You know, you could have the best idea in the world, but if the world's not ready for it, it won't matter. You know, you gotta know when to pull the trigger.
Yeah, Ruben, I'm sorry I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I think me and Forrest, his name is Jonathan, but his middle name is
My
Forrest,
friends
and-
call me. No one calls me that. Everyone calls me Forrest.
I'm sorry, Forrest. I apologize.
Oh, it's
hopefully,
okay. I
hopefully we're
forgive.
friends now. I can call you that.
Best friends.
Hey, wait a minute.
Second best friend.
Friends.
Best friend.
See how easy it is?
I know.
But we've been talking about that. Like, what happens after the lockdown? Does this still have a place? One of the best feedbacks I got was from new parents. Comedians that became new parents can't go out, and they're like, great, now I can actually use this and get my material out. And that was great. I thought that was a good use case. And then I think, like, just hopping from like place to place versus just the comfort from your home. And Forrest, you had some ideas as well to like bring in a live show into a
Oh
club.
yeah. Well, my eventual goal, like, it's not my. Who knows where this is gonna go, because there's so many fun possibilities. You know,
Right.
like sometimes I think about making it into kind of like a talent search, like where we say, why don't we all do really good, and then I say, hey, who's got the top 5 cool points? Let's do shows. Let's do a live show live, and we'll let people stream in. We'll have 5 people in the room, and we'll have another 10 open mic spots, so anybody can join from anywhere, and we'll be in the room. You know what I mean? And
I love that.
and then we kind of have like a talent pool, especially if we get more value on the measurements. You know, a lot of what we work on is analytics. Like, how do we make it so that the app knows that you're funny more than you just hearing the laughs? You know what I mean? Because then we can say you won. If we know that you got more laughs than everybody else, we know you're the winner. You know?
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're working on.
There is what is his name? There's a guy that I took a comedy course from, but he developed a system that actually can count like laughs per minute. It's like a digital recording system, and it somehow records laughs per minute, so it can tell you like how many actual laughs per minute you have or whatever and stuff. It's really cool. If there's some way to get that technology embedded in there, that would make it to go. I thought that's a great way of like even incorporating the app as to like, I'm on stage live, I tell a joke or I tell my set, and then between sets, someone else on the screen from the app does a set, and then it goes back and forth and back and forth. I like that idea. I think that's like the perfect way to kind of move it forward, where you're getting both the people that are at home, maybe like the new parents, like you said,
Right,
still involved in a show at the club where people can see them and it's not just app to app. I like that. I think that's smart. That's
well, thanks. But there's a lot of fun ways. Like I think that once the next big step is making audio was our biggest step, right? Audio was our biggest step forward so far. I think our next big step is making it so you can follow comedians. So you can say, oh, I want to be notified when he does a mic, because then if you have 120 followers and you do a mic, every mic you do is a hot mic. You know what I mean? You're gonna have a huge crowd there every single time, and we can get data. Eventually we'll be able to tell you, hey, you've got a big fan base in San Antonio. You should do a show there. You know what I mean? Like we can go.
We had that.
Go ahead.
And we had the idea of the crowd favorite. Remember, the person that brings in the most followers gets an extra minute, gets extra cool points, and get that kind of going. Make it into like bring in the people, and we'll give it back. So, that's like further down the line is allowing people to host their own shows.
Yeah,
saying I host
that's
on Friday
common.
With 5 people, and we're instead of 3-minute sets, they do 10-minute sets or 20 or however they want, and maybe with a host, et cetera, et cetera. So that would be I'm looking forward to that part.
So then the big question that anybody's going to ask is, how do you monetize this? Like, how do you right? That's, I guarantee you get asked that 90% of the time, right? How are you guys going to, like, anyone who's like, yeah, this is a great idea. Now, how are you going to monetize it? What's the way to go there? Because ads suck. I hate ads on stuff. I use like Brave browser and stuff. I hate ads. So I'm like super anti that stuff. But I am not opposed to paying, $1 for a show or 99 cents a month or whatever it would be to have even a membership of like, hey, I get first pick on being on a show or whatever, something like that.
Well, honestly, when we're thinking about things for the show, we really are trying to not focus on making money on it right now, because even though I definitely, because it costs money, you know what I mean? It's not like a free show. And as it gets bigger, it's going to cost a lot more. So eventually we're going to have some sort of input, but I feel like that's a good problem. Like if we're going broke because there's too many users, I think it's a problem that'll fix itself eventually. You know what I mean? Like, someone's going to really want to take us seriously or something to help us out. But I think a lot of ways that we could, we're looking at Patreon models right now where maybe somebody would subscribe but what we never want to do is make it so that someone who wants to perform right now can't. Never. So it'll never ever, we say this all the time, it'll never ever cost money to do an open mic, and it'll never ever cost money to be in the audience of an open mic.
Right.
Okay.
No, I'm with you.
Because that's got to be the support system. That's the backbone. If we can support an open mic with like a fairness and a responsibility and a lot of fun, you know what I mean? Like just killing it and really getting some good feedback from each other, then we've done it. That's the goal, and then everything else is just gravy,
I think maybe a sponsorship model by some group or some company would be a good one. We're like, this open mic is sponsored by blah, 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 and every mic can be, for the whole week, all these mics can be sponsored by so-and-so, or every mic is sponsored by a different person or whatever. And that way it's not a really ad thing, but it's also not a way where anybody has to pay for it. And you're doing kind of like a dual favor because you have the viewership kind of captive there anyways. And, and I don't know. I'm always trying to think of like, how do you monetize something? Because this podcast is not monetized. Like I pay everything every month. It's not monetized. Yeah, I know. Exactly. Right. But I'm always thinking like, how can I monetize it without costing the people who are benefiting from this, right? That's why I don't Patreon. That's why I don't do like a donation thing or whatever. And people are like, you should. And I'm like, I feel like that's robbing them of giving them something great. I'm sure you feel the same way.
And I do feel the same way. But I also feel like as long as you've got a base of something valuable, like your podcast, if you're coming out with it weekly or whatever it is, and you're constantly coming out with content, then that takes a lot of effort. And when was the last time you told an artist to work for free? You know what I
Never.
mean? Like never. You know what I mean? So we're doing it right now because we love the art, but eventually the art's got to love us back. And I hope that we can find that middle ground. I hope you do as well.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Actually, we just recorded before you guys came, and one of the things we talked about was like how much I don't like. I was like, look, just subscribe on YouTube because YouTube already makes you guys watch commercials. So I rather take their money than take your money. You know what I'm saying? Like I rather take their money every day of the week than say, hey guys, can you throw in a little bit? Like I don't want to do that. That's why I don't do Patreon or whatever.
Yeah.
Luke, did you have a question? Sorry.
I'm just curious. I haven't used the app yet, but I'm curious. Like, what's the format for the open mic? How does it work for like the comedian performing and then the audience member watching?
Sure. So have you ever done a bucket style open mic? I don't know where you guys do mics at.
LA. It's always a bucket.
So
it's
always a bucket, right? So this is a bucket style mic. That's how it makes the most sense with live stream, and it's kind of like the nitty gritty of comedy. You know what I mean? Nobody likes a bucket mic. They just like that you get to go up in a bucket mic. There's too many shows where you go to and they just say no. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and even then, if you're the last guy at a bucket mic, it's a lonely set. You know what I mean? You're the guy.
I've been that guy.
Oh, believe me, I'm usually that guy. That's my luck, you know. But so what we did with this one is when you come to a show, you can look at upcoming shows, and then you can see the set list of who's performing, and you can just add yourself at any time or take yourself off. So that RSVPs guarantees you a spot when you get there. Okay. If you log in, right? If you don't log in, anybody who didn't RSVP, they get second priority, right? So if they just came to the show the night of and said, I want to perform, you're in too, but you're not guaranteed a spot like the RSVP guys are, because there's only 15 spots. So once we get more than 15 performers, first all the RSVP guys go through, and then we start doing a lottery system for whoever gets the remaining slots as we continue through the show.
Okay.
So
just like a bucket mic, exactly like a bucket mic. Except that we don't do 3 names, we do 1 name.
The biggest problem is that person actually there? Exactly. Is that person ready to go? So we came up with a system where when it's your turn, we send you a little push and you get, hey, it's your turn. You're ready. And you have to accept it. And once you accept it, then we know, okay, there's a 90% chance that person is actually there. And then we start, and we give a little overlap so that there's like a handoff so they can have a little conversation like, hey, great set. Great. Thanks. Hope you do well. And then the next one starts. And then when we went through everybody, then at the end, we announce a winner is the person who got the most votes. And then they got some confetti and stop. And that's a little bit. Yeah, the confetti is fun because then
is awesome.
We just put somebody on screen for 30 seconds and they can promote themselves, right? They could shout out their social media and stuff like that. We let them also put it in the app, so then they're direct links if people want to see, if they want to follow them, et cetera, et cetera. So we try to have that around.
Yeah. That's so awesome. I love that you guys are doing that. I love that you just created this. This is such a cool app. Where can people find the app? Where can they sign up? Really think about making a commercial to like put on. Do you guys have a commercial for it or like a video that explains it somewhere?
We have it on the Instagram. We have like on the Instagram, there's a really good like about video, kind of like a story of like the general concept of the whole thing.
Right.
But we're coming with updates so quick that it's hard for us to even keep those up to date. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So please be forgiving while we go through these trials and tribulations. We're not perfect yet.
It's 2 programmers making
this.
Okay. If anyone knows anything about programming, 2 programmers is not enough to make an app. That's not how it normally works. Okay. At all. I just watched. You guys heard of The Last Tree? Have you heard of The Last Tree, the indie game?
I have not.
The Last Tree is an indie game. One guy made that game by himself. It took him over 100 hours and 18 months of his life. One guy. That's unheard of. You can play Call of Duty or whatever. There's like 100 dudes making that game. Okay. Right. Like, so bravo to you guys. Like I said, I'm a nerd, so I totally understand what you're going through. I wish I could be in your shoes at some point, and I'm hoping at some point to be in your shoes to make an app. But
And we're at that point where we really feel there's a lot of value. So we're trying to push. We got
Right.
some friends helping out with some social media, and we really want to see how can we promote this better, and hopefully the comedians will start promoting us. And actually last week we had a big spike because one of the comedians just took a set and put it on YouTube and said, "Hey, I'm performing tonight," and that kind of like snowballed, and that was just great. And there goes
Yeah, it
my
was awesome.
Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it here in the show notes. We're gonna put it on YouTube.
Oh, great. Thanks.
And so, hopefully we can push it some more. Where can people? It's aLiveApp.com, correct?
It's called a live show.
app.
Right. The app is called aLiveShow. The
Yeah.
website's aLiveShowApp.com. It's got all the links, but you can just search a live show in your app store or in your Google Play store, and it'll come right up, and you'll get all the updates as they come out.
It's got like a little thing on it. It looks
Yeah.
so Vegas-y and stuff. I actually love that part of it. It does. It looks like an old school Vegas type show. Like
I know. My sister made that.
That's awesome. I love it. So yeah.
Shout out to my sister. She's the best graphic designer for free in the whole world.
There's nothing better than free work. And where can people find you guys at? Like you could be Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Where can people find you at?
Yeah, we're at a live show app on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, and I think that's it. Those three? Yeah, just those three. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, those are our big ones. And look us up, give us a like, please. And any feedback you have, let's make something great together.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you everybody for listening. Luke, where can people find you at?
LukeLacoy.
LukeLacoy on what? Just like in the world?
Everywhere. Yep.
It's my favorite. You can find me JamesDCreviston.com or ComedyPreneur.com. Come check it out and check out a live show app. You won't regret it. You're in your house anyways. You can't go to the club. Bring the club to you. Okay? Do it. Just do that. Go get the app and bring the club to you. Thank you guys so much. Have a great one and have a good day. Bye.